you must notice continuing from where we left off, that is the reason for our meditations, that very I. Because the moment I meditate, where am I going? And what am I going for? I'm going to make conscious contact with I. Joel is going to make conscious contact with I, with the center of my own being. It isn't entombed in my body, as you learn in April, I guess, March, March, when we have the lesson on resurrection. I am not entombed in my body. And yet, so as not to have a sense of separateness or far-offness, we say within me. The kingdom of God is within me. It doesn't mean within my body. And yet it would seem as if I were talking about in here, in my chest somewhere. No, it isn't physical at all. It's only that this gives me a sense of nearness. Otherwise I'd be looking out into blank space. And so when I meditate, I go within, and not within my body, but within my soul. That's the word, soul. I go within my own soul. Because it's my soul that is I. That's my real identity. I am soul. That's why the soul looks out through the eye, and you can see it. I am soul. The real part of me is soul. It's the very Spirit of God, the soul of God. And I turn within, and I contact it, my own soul, the I that I am. And then out of it comes the words that I need, or the treatment that I need, or the dollars that I need, or the guidance, or the direction, or whatever it is. Now, actually what happens when I go within to that I is merely the realization. I, closer to me than breathing, nearer than hands and feet, the embodiment of all God, of all good, of all being. And then I take no thought for my life, what I shall eat, what I shall drink, wherewithal I shall be clothed, and in its due order everything appears that is necessary to appear, whether it's a typewriter or a tape recorder or a ticket to Europe. Do you see that? So it is that we should never undertake anything, not even eating breakfast in the morning, until we have had that inner contact with our own withinness. And certainly we should never embark on any activity of any nature, go any place or do anything without that contact, and repeat it as many times a day as we're going to start doing something else. Then we'll find that we are being fed and housed and clothed from within, and guided and directed and led, instructed. All right, now we will come to the last question. Will you please repeat the nature of specific treatment work? Specific treatment. Now this is a subject that too many of our students know too little about. And it is probably one of the most important subjects that's included in all of the Infinite Way teaching. Because everything that takes place in our experience has to take place through our own consciousness. You can't live outside of your own consciousness. You can't even die outside of your own consciousness. Anything that transpires in your experience, you wouldn't even know about if you weren't conscious of it, and you wouldn't be conscious of it if it weren't an activity of your consciousness. So that everything from birth to death, and before birth and after death, is an activity of your consciousness, and will be in proportion to your consciousness or your conscious awareness of any particular subject. So that it is safe to say that no treatment you can give will be any better than your knowledge of treatment. No treatment that you ever give will have any more power in it than your own consciousness of truth. Because all a treatment is your consciousness of truth. And that is why Jesus Christ will give the best treatment, because he has attained the greatest awareness of truth. And maybe John will give the next best treatment. Paul. In other words, it will be in direct proportion to your consciousness of truth. Now that can't be something fuzzy, and it can't be generalities like God is all. It can't be that. It has to be specific. Therefore, whether you know it or not, every treatment that you ever give has to be a specific treatment. Even if it has no words or thoughts, it has to be specific. Because if it has no words or thoughts, that is only because having the awareness, you don't have to put it into words or thoughts. But that doesn't mean you don't have to have it. You say, how much is 12 times 12? I don't have to think or say 144. Except if I have to impart it to you. But I mean, for my own sake, I don't either have to think it or feel it, because I know it. So why do I have to think the numbers 144? Why do I have to say them? I don't have to. But if I don't have the knowledge of 144, then I don't have the answer, and I'm in trouble. Now let us see how that operates in practical experience. I said a moment ago that in our highest spiritual realizations we need no words or thoughts, and that if you called upon me for help, I would not have to think a thought or declare a truth, but be a perfect vacuum. Now why would that be? Why and how could that be accomplished? Because I know that I am. And if I am, thou art. And all that I am, thou art. But I know that. I know it through all these years of demonstration. So why do I have to think it now or declare it now? That truth is embodied in my consciousness. And the minute you hit me with 2 times 2 is 5, I don't have to say anything, I only have to smile. And I don't have to think 4. Do you see that? A smile's enough. That means that you're not fooling me. Because I know it's 4. All right, but now, as students, we do not know 4. So we're going to have to put down a 2 and a 2, and then do a little adding up, and thinking about it, and repeating it, and affirming it, and then finally write down, 4. Well, so it is when we are called upon for help. In the beginning, we will assume that you ask for help and say nothing further. So that we don't know whether it's physical, mental, moral, financial, or whatnot. The problem. But as students, we turn within, and if we have learned to take God as the first word of any treatment, which we should learn to do, God, the substance of all form, God, the source of all activity, God, essence, substance, yes, all health, all action, all harmony, all supply is in cause, not effect. Then all harmony, peace, jurisdiction, good is in God the cause. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And maybe now you're satisfied. Now you've declared the 4. Now you can sit back and go to the second part of the treatment where you wait for the confirmation from within. But suppose someone has called and asked for help, and they have mentioned that this is a physical disease. Might even have mentioned the name. All right? They may even have mentioned that it's flu, grip, one of these winter diseases, germ diseases, contagious diseases. And then you start with God, and you come to realize that every quality and activity emanates from God. So if there were such a thing as infection and contagion in the world, it would have to emanate from God. God would have to be the infector. What is it that would emanate from God as an infection or a contagion? But the qualities of God: life, truth, love. And then all the children of God would be infected with the qualities of God, and these would be contagious. And so there is no infection to fear, no infection, no contagion to fear. For all of this operates in the spiritual realm, in the realm of good. In the realm of incorporeality, that's the word that just came in, incorporeality. So infection and contagion, if they're incorporeal, we don't have to fear them. And that gives us a sense of satisfaction. Then we settle back, our deep breath comes, our click, our release, and we're finished with that. Another call comes along, and somebody is paralyzed. They've had a stroke, or paralysis, or an accident. They can't walk, or they can't move their arms. And quickly it comes. Quickly, instantly, after you've had a little experience. Of course the body can't move. How can the body move? It's dead. That's a dead arm. That arm can't move. I have to move that arm. I have to do that. The arm can't. The arm left to itself will stay here for 1,000 years. There has to be an I. Oh yes, but I is God. Well, then God is no respecter of persons. Well, then there's nobody's body that can't be a body. There's nobody's body that can't be a right body. For I is the source, substance, and activity of body. I is the activity and the being of body. I is the only law unto body. And there you're at peace again. Now you get calm, you wait, you get your click or your deep breath, and you're free. Next call. Somebody's having financial trouble. It doesn't make a difference why or how. It could be unemployment. It could be their money tied up in property. It could be any kind of economic trouble. It makes no difference what it is. You'll pretty soon find that almost instantly you'll come to you, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Certainly you haven't got any. Nobody else has any either. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Ah, but son, all that I have is thine. Well, was that addressed to one son? Well, no, that's been the infamy of religion. The belief that God spoke that only to one person. God couldn't be a respecter of persons. That couldn't have been addressed to a person. That had to be addressed universally to the children of God. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Therefore, the same as he was to Jesus Christ, he must be today to you and to me. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. All supply belongs to God. And son, all that I have is thine. And that's a universal truth. And again, you go into your silence, you get your peace, your quiet, your click, you're through with that. All of this you see is specific. You get a call or you have your radio on and you're told a hurricane is on the way. You start with the word God. Well, the first thing that pops in is God is infinite. Well, there isn't any place where God is where a hurricane can be operating. Unless it's a very spiritual hurricane. And that would be a blessing. See that? There can't be. If God is infinite, there cannot be a place where the infinity of God is not in expression. Therefore, nothing destructive can be there. That's all. Go in, you get your silence, you get your click, and that's complete. And that's specific. Now, I don't mean you always get these answers that I've just given you. You're apt to get 1,000 different kind of answers. But you'll get some specific thought as to each specific problem. You see? A specific answer will come to every specific problem. Just like if your problem is 8 times 8, you're not going to get 4 and you're not going to get 144. You're going to get 64. There is bound to be a specific answer to a specific problem. See that? It is only when you have gone through that 10,000 times that you finally arrive at a place where it isn't necessary anymore. Because you know that all. I mean, that's so established in you that you don't have to sit down consciously thinking it up. See that? You know it. It's established. It's what you already are. It already constitutes your being. Well, yes. The only way to explain it is if I sat down to a typewriter, I got to sit down and look at every key. And watch out that my finger hits the right key. I can't help that. I must do that. But I know that a typist doesn't have to. You can blindfold a typist. They know they've hit the right key. They know they got the truth without thinking it, without seeing it, without assuring themselves of it even. They know that. See that? Same with piano. What kind of a pianist would it be that would look at a keyboard? My kind. Okay? But not a pianist. A pianist, he knows those fingers automatically hit the right place, the right spot, the right thing. And so it is with this. After you've done this 10,000 times, after you've handled enough colds, flu, grippe, pneumonia, consumption, after you've handled enough of these things, you know them so thoroughly that when somebody says that, you smile. It seems ridiculous. Seems ridiculous. You hear somebody say, well, these are very bad times. And then you almost laugh out loud because you've watched so many millionaires being made during these very bad times. And then you'll hear somebody say, oh, well, these are unusually good times, boom times. And right down the street are families that can't make ends meet. And you laugh at all those things. Do you see what I mean? Because you know the times are in his hands. There's no such thing as good times or bad times. There's either God times or those who are living without God. And so it is. It gets to a point of discord being plumb ridiculous. So that the only answer you give to almost any problem or every problem is that inner chuckle, that inner smile. You might say, I know what's really so. See that? Well, you never give a treatment to Mrs. Jones or Smith or Brown or a Mr. You never give a treatment to an old lady or an old gentleman or a baby. You don't give that kind of treatment. And the reason for that is something that no religion recognizes outside of the infinite way. And that is this, that 2 times 2, if they're 4, are 4 about apples, peaches, pears, plums, pineapples, dollars, donuts, millions or billions. See that? Whatever truth you know is a universal truth. It's not just the truth about you or me. That's the sad part of religion, that we believe that we can ask God for something for you or for me. And God couldn't any more do that than he could give us a 2 times 2 for peaches, but not for plums. When 2 times 2 is 4, it's 4. Universally, impersonally, impartially, for saint or sinner. Whatever the truth is that I'm knowing when you present a problem to me isn't merely the truth about you, it's the truth. It's universal. Therefore, I don't have to direct it back to you just because you asked for the help. Because any truth I know is a universal truth. It's got to be the truth about you. And that's why we don't have to have the name of the patient. We don't have to even be told whether it's a cat or a dog or a human being. Because any truth that we know is truth. Now, the less experience we have with healing work, probably the more we should know about the claim, because the more specific we'd have to be in answering it. in treating on it. Well, I'm thinking of several things. The first one that came to my thought was a call that I had many years ago that had to do with an infant. And it was an infant illness of some kind or other, or infant trouble or other. And the very first thought that flashed in my mind, there are no infants. God can't ever be an infant. God is the only being there is. That's the only life there is, the only mind, the only soul, the only spirit there is. And that ended the treatment. But it was good for somebody to say it was an infant at that point of my development, because it gave me a chance to know the truth about infants, and the truth is there aren't any. See? Well, then I remember that Mrs. Eddy wrote in one of her books that she cured or healed a woman of a very severe female ailment just because it flashed into her mind that there aren't any females. There just aren't any. There is only God being, and God being is male and female in qualities, but there is, again, there's no corporeality in God. So if God is male and female, it isn't a corporeal male and female. It's male and female qualities of being. See that? And by knowing there is no female, she healed that woman. All right? In that case, it was good for her to know that it was a female, or to know that the disease was a peculiarly female disease. Yeah? Now, in that part of your ministry which comes later, after you've had 10,000 cases to work on, it really would make no difference whether it was male or female or what it was, infant or animal, because you instinctively aren't in this world where there are those distinctions. Your treatments aren't on the level of this world. I've said this on some of the tapes. The most powerful teachings in the infinite way are these. My kingdom is not of this world. Man shall not live by bread alone. That's two of the most important teachings in the whole works, because the minute a problem is presented to me and I can realize my kingdom is not of this world, that's the end of it. That's the end of it. I'm not patching up this universe. I'm not healing bodies. I haven't got young bodies or old bodies or change-of-life bodies. See that? Or the problems of puberty, or the problems of adolescence, and the problems of youth, and then the problems of middle age. All that's eliminated. The minute I realize my kingdom, the spiritual kingdom, is not of this world, then I don't have to come down here to any of those specific treatments. See that? And yet I'm doing specific work, because I'm answering the claim of this world. In other words, I never get so high that I don't give specific help, even if that specific help may only be addressed to this world. Now, I don't think that our younger students can stand on that higher plane, because to them this world is too real. And even if they intellectually said it wasn't, they're lying to themselves. And the treatment won't encompass it. Your treatment will not be effective if it contains a lie. That is, if it contains anything that would insult your own intelligence. See that? It has to satisfy you at your level of consciousness. Therefore, be as specific as you find necessary in your treatments. But don't stop your healing work with the treatment. Take that second step of getting still and waiting for the seal to be placed on it, for that click, for that inner release, because that's the major part of the treatment. And even if there have been some mistakes in your treatment, it won't harm if you've had that click from within. You see, when you undertake a ministry like healing, and I do not necessarily mean setting yourself up in an office as a practitioner, but I mean just as you are now in your home. People will ask you questions on any and every subject that concerns their everyday living. And you have to have a specific answer. I suppose that I know there isn't a week of the year that someone doesn't ask me, should they leave their church or should they join a church? And I have to have a specific answer. I can't generalize and say God is love. There has to be a specific answer. You see that? And the specific answer is, fulfill yourself at your present level. And if you feel a need for church, by all means have it. Should you leave church? No. Not until it is so definitely established in you that you should, that you don't even ask the question. You just do it. As long as you ask the question, you're not ready for it. Yeah? That's a specific answer. You don't leave them up in the air. Give them a specific answer. And somebody wants to know, should they eat meat or shouldn't they eat meat? And they want a specific answer. You have to have one. And the answer is, again, you live at the level of your consciousness. If you're living at that point where you like meat or you require meat, keep on. When meat is no longer needed in your experience, it'll drop away and you won't have to ask the question. There are a million questions that'll be thrown to you, each one requiring a specific answer. What do you know about Immaculate Conception? What do you know about resurrection? What do you know about ascension? What do you know about immortality? What do you know about the identity of God? What do you know about the nature of God? What do you know about the nature of prayer? If you can't be specific in answering those things, you not only can't teach them, but you can't even give a good treatment. Because a treatment is a concrete, specific knowing of the truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. How are you going to know it if you don't know it? You can't get away by saying God is love. They're trying that out in what they call the absolute. There are teachings called absolute teachings, and they will tell you very honestly that I'm all wrong, that all that I teach is unnecessary. Why? Because God is all. Well, I don't deny that God is all, but I deny that the allness of God is going to do very much for you until you know the truth. And it's got to be specific truth. You have to know that you don't live because you have a heart, but that your heart is beating because you're living. In other words, you beat the heart. The heart doesn't live you. You don't live by organs and functions of your body. Your organs and functions of your body operate because of I. I govern the heart. I govern what we call the liver, lungs, whatever it may be. These functions function because of I. But wouldn't it be terrible to say that I live because of them? Then that means when something happens to them, I'm gone. No, not at all. Not at all. A woman swallowed 2 bottles of sleeping tablets and was found and taken to the hospital, and family told that she wouldn't survive. But one of her friends was one of our students and asked for help. And the next day within 1 hour, fell into a natural sleep, and the next day was up and all right. But I want you to see that it was our work that did that. And here's the proof. This woman called that friend from the hospital and said, I must know what it is that did this to me. Now, she hadn't been told that anybody had done anything for her beyond the medical help she was getting. But she knew. This acted on her body. This truth acted on her body through her mind, because her mind knew that her body was being acted upon. I have a letter on my desk from the father of a boy who couldn't talk. And last week he talked. And what do you think his first words were? Who prayed for me? A child, 11 years old. Who prayed for me? Those were his first words. Okay? Truth acted on that body. The body doesn't act on the boy. See that? The truth that acts on the body. And so it is. Your heart doesn't act on you. You, this truth, in your consciousness, acts on your heart, and on your liver, and on your lungs, and on all the organs and functions of your body. And on your business. Your business doesn't affect you. You affect your business. Your business is a dead thing, as dead as this table. And so this fellow's business fails and this one's prospers. It must be the man acting on his business. See that? So it is with us. Truth entertained in your consciousness becomes a law unto your body, unto your business, unto everything. See that? Therefore, you must be specific in the truth that you know. But that doesn't mean that every time you get a call that you have to have some specific truth, because gradually it gets so ingrained into you that there's no answer. See that? You just smile or shrug your shoulders, and that's it. But only because in the back of it you do know the truth. You have been through the years of study, and you do know that the body cannot walk. I must walk. And these here just reflect or express I. It's because you know that strength isn't in the muscles. Strength is in the spirit, and it uses the muscles. William Blake, we do not see with our eyes, but through our eyes. There is a we that functions through the body. There is an I, a me, that functions through the body. But the body isn't me. No, no. The body is an instrument given to me. And I have dominion over it. See that? Oh yes, but that's knowing the truth. And so every time a claim of body comes, there is a truth to be known. Every time a claim of organs or functions comes, there is a truth. Every time a claim of business comes, there is a truth. Every time a claim of weather or climate comes, there is a truth. And you are always knowing these specific truths. It's true that when you're all said and done, it'll all amount to God is all. But at least you'll know it by that time. After you've known these 10,000 cases, you'll then know that these truths are really true and that God is all. But you'll know what it means that God is all. It means that God functions my body, God functions my business, God functions my home, God functions my supply. That's what God is all means. God is the essence, the substance, the activity, the law, and the cause. That's what it means, God is all. But God is all is meaningless until you know all that God is. The wisdom of man is not sufficient to give you these specific truths. In other words, when you are confronted with specific problems, whether of your own or somebody else's, you can't run around looking for a memorandum of this tape and find out what those truths are that you're supposed to know. And if you could find it, it wouldn't be too helpful. You are to learn these truths the same way I learned them. I'm not trying to teach you what truth to know, but how to learn truth. When you are confronted with a problem of organs or functions of the body, and if you don't know offhand this truth, that I govern the organs and functions of the body, not the organs and functions of the body govern me, turn to the Father within and ask for the truth. And let it come to you from within. Remember, this is not a system of memorizing the things that I have said. It's not having formulas. Otherwise you'd be going back to the old system then of rheumatism comes from this and something else comes from that. Don't go back to using formulas. Remember that all truth is given to us from God. And if you want to know the truth about anything, you don't have to go to a book to find it out. I mean now a specific truth. You turn to the Father within you. If you go home and you find that your plants are drooping and not doing well, and don't run to a book to see what's happening or what truth you should know. Turn within. And pretty soon a truth will come to you, and all of a sudden your flowers will look up at you and begin to smile. Because we're not trying to build memories, we're not trying to build a list of knowledge. And that's why I say that even a specific truth that I give you might not work when you're called upon if you use it. Just remember, that the purpose of our teaching meditation is to teach you where and how to go to get any specific truth you know for any specific problem. You may be called upon this very night for some problem that I never even heard about. Then it'll be no use looking in the books for a solution. It won't be there. You must learn to turn quickly, instantaneously within. Now, strangely enough, by doing that, you may be led to open one of my books at just the right place, or the Bible. That's happened many, many, many times. But when you've turned within for a specific truth, it doesn't always come to you. You're not attuned yet to receiving it, but you open one of my books and there's the answer right in front of you. See that? That's far better than looking through all the books until you find the right answer. There is a specific truth for every problem that ever existed. And its abiding place is your consciousness. Your own consciousness is where every bit of truth is, because I am the truth. I embody the truth. All of it, not a little of it, all of it. And you have to learn to go within and you get it. That's how the book Spiritual Interpretation of Scripture came into being. The students that came to me first wanted to know something about the Bible, and I didn't know enough to teach them. And so each week before the lesson I just turned within and said, Father, what do you want the students to have? And then each time when I opened the Bible, there was a story and the definition of it, or the interpretation of it. And that went on for 60 weeks. Each week, a whole new lesson unfolded that I never knew before. And it was given to me from within. And so it is. Every class has come that way. Not knowing when I went to the platform what it was going to be like. Did we dream at all in London this time that the London open classes were going to be as wonderful as they've turned out to be?
No, I don't think you...
It didn't seem, did it?
No, not at first. No.
And look how they have turned out. Huh?
I had to have that 5 number.
There you are. And Mrs. Hunting was right there through every bit of that work. The London open work, the London advanced work, every bit of the work, she was right there in that work. But we didn't dream what was going on, did we?
It didn't, no, especially in the beginning.
No. It was very rough in the beginning, wasn't it?
It was tough going.
Yeah, it was tough going, yeah. It really was, do you see? And so it is, we don't know when we go within whether we're going to get the pearl of great price or just a cultured pearl, you know. And sometimes when we don't dream that anything worthwhile is coming through, that's when the real pearls come through. And so it is, when we're called on for help, we really get the gems that constitute the rest of our lives. And we get it in just that way. The kingdom of God is within you. There isn't anything that you could go within for that you wouldn't find within yourself. If our students learn that, and learn that the whole object of this is to have them get the answers from within, then they'll find that they'll get a specific truth then with which to meet every problem. There is a specific truth about every problem. There is a definite truth about every problem. And as we learn to use our meditation for the solution of problems, we will find that through the meditation we get the specific answer or specific truth necessary to meet every specific problem. You might ask, does God know anything about our problems? No, definitely not. But when we go within with a question, bread, wine, water, the answer comes back, I am the bread, the wine, the water. When you go within with a question, what is the truth about this situation? And the answer comes back, I am the truth. Or you go in, what about organs and functions of the body? And then the answer comes back, I govern the organs and functions of the body. Life governs organs and functions of the body. Organs and functions of the body do not govern life. When you first get problems of people with paralysis and strokes and all those things and muscles that won't move, and you go within, the answer comes back. I am the life of the body. I am the activity of the body. Spirit governs its formations. Some such truth that lets you know that the body isn't self-acting, that the body doesn't move for good or evil. The hand can't give any more than it can withhold. I must do these things using the hand as an instrument. And those truths come to you from within. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual creation, everything that's necessary for my unfoldment. But how did I learn that? It was imparted from within. Would it have been imparted from within if I hadn't learned to meditate and get it? No. And so it is that every meditation brings forth whatever it is that I need to know at any moment. Do you see? And so it is. Now, be assured of this, that you have a right to know specific truths about specific problems. And also know this, that the only place you're going to get those truths is within yourself. Because if I gave to you even a list of them, they would do you no good when you go to use them, because they would just be mentally perceived, mentally known truths, not spiritually discerned ones. And it's the spiritually discerned truths that meet your need. It isn't the word that I would write down on paper for you that is power. It's the word of God that is quick and powerful. And the whole secret of our work is teaching the students to go within to the kingdom of God and let the still small voice utter itself. And then when he utters his voice, the earth melteth. And that's it. Thanks.